Let's stop there with
Sure.
criminal justice. That is an area in which algorithms are being applied that some say is ethically concerning. So let's parse that out a little bit more. What types of risks are there to using machine learning in criminal justice?
The biggest challenge with criminal justice is that the public does not actually agree on the role of criminal justice. Is criminal justice intended to punish somebody? Is it intended to prevent them from committing future crimes? Is it intended to rehabilitate? What is our actual role of that? Now, that's part one, because it actually starts to shape the kinds of data that we collect. We collect different data depending on what we view the role of criminal justice to be. Next, we have a whole set of biases in how we've actually deployed criminal justice practices, how we've engaged with policing. Our policing structures have long been biased along, axes like race, gender, income level, communities.
So in theory, wouldn't making machines more part of the process make it more neutral, make it less biased?
Depends on what data it's using. And the challenge here is that what most of those systems are designed to do is to say, let me learn based on what I've known in the past to make decisions about what should happen in the future.
Okay, give me an example of that.
So, for example, when you're trying to do a predictive policing algorithm, you're trying to say, where have there been criminal activities in the past? So let me send then law enforcement to those sites where there's a higher likelihood of criminal behavior. Well, where has there been activity in the past? It's the places where police have chosen to spend time in. It's the people that they've chosen to arrest.
And that might be based on their personal biases.
Or a whole set of other values. For example, if you look at drug arrests, we actually know that the drug data in the United States is that whites are far more likely to consume and to sell drugs. Yet when we look at the arrest records in the United States, we overwhelmingly arrest blacks for both consumption and sales of drugs. And so as a result, then you're trying to predict who is most likely to engage in criminal activity around drugs. Your algorithms are going to say, oh, well, actually it seems to be mostly something that occurs with Black and African American individuals. And it's like, that's not true. That's based on flawed data. And so that's the problem in criminal justice. It's like, could we design a system to be more responsible? Certainly, but it all depends on the data. And the problem with machine learning algorithms or big data or artificial intelligence is when the data is flawed, we are going to not only pipe that flawed bias through the system, but we're going to amplify it. And so the result is that we increase the likelihood that we are reproducing more and more biases in our data.
Are local police departments actually starting to deploy algorithmic machine learning? And can we trust them as a society to program these algorithms in a way that is fair and reflects the law?
Well, so keep in mind, it's not the police office that actually does the building of the system. It's built by third-party companies, and they are hired by or paid for by the police force.
And do we trust the third-party companies?
And that's the question: do we trust the values that the police force have been structured? And I think that's a very contested feeling especially in the United States right now. What would it look like if instead of these systems being designed for being purchased by the police system, that they were purchased for social services? What would that look like? Where instead of intervening and trying to find somebody who is most likely to engage in criminal activity, you were instead trying to find somebody who is most likely suffering and could actually do meaningful outreach. That's a very different shift to the same set of technologies. And it's a question of what are our values as a society? What are we really willing to spend time on? It's also important to realize that we're doing a lot of these technologically mediated interventions for ideals of efficiency. Should criminal justice really be more efficient? Is that the value we should be aiming for? I think it should be more just. I think it should be more fair. I think it should be more responsible to society. And I don't believe that efficiency is actually compatible with that.
It sounds like what you're saying is the efficiencies that might be gained from using algorithm and machine learning may actually be counterproductive and harmful when used in some of these institutions.
I think that's absolutely true.